Truck drivers have been urged not to resort to violence ahead of a planned national strike on Monday. This after two trucks were set alight on the N3 in Ashburton and the N12 near Portshepstone. Truck drivers are demanding employment, better working conditions and salary increments. They claim that foreign nationals are stealing their jobs as employers prefer them for cheap labour. Now, the National Truck Drivers Foundation has condemned the torching of trucks in KwaZulu-NATAL. The attackers allegedly stole one of the trucks at a depot in Pietermaritzburg. They then drove it along with the driver before setting it alight on the N3 near Ashburton. Another truck then overturned while attempting to avoid crashing into one on fire. In another incident, a truck was also set alight in Portshepstone in KwaZulu-Natal South Coast. Both incidents are suspected to be part of a build-up to the national shutdown tomorrow. All right, our reporter Sibongakonke Mbatha is on the line with us now. She was on the scene of those two trucks that were torched. A very good evening to you, Sibonga. Thanks for your time. Now, this incident, of course, also comes ahead of that countrywide shutdown called by the National Truck Drivers Foundation along major routes. Do we know what were the circumstances that led to this latest attack?
A very good evening to you, Criselda. Like you mentioned, that today's incident, I think to take it back a bit, it was most felt by motorists who were traveling on the N3 northbound as they were gridlocked in traffic from the morning until the later hours of the day. And of course, this is another incident further expressing the plight of the truck drivers. We will remember that this is not a new incident, as last year, two occasions in 1 month, the 2nd of April as well as the 30th, we saw a number of trucks being set alight at Moy River to a point where the National Minister, Police Minister, had to come and intervene. Just to give background in terms of the plight of the workers and what they are trying to address with the general public as well as their employers is the issue of employment. They are saying that foreign nationals are taking employment away from them because they accept cheap labor and they are taking very low salaries and they're willing to work odd hours. And there were allegations that foreign national drivers travel in groups in one truck. One might see them 1 in 4, and then they take turns. And that makes it very hard for South African drivers to compete with that. And in response, they did say that these foreign national drivers were brought in and were hired because of scarce skills. But they are claiming that which scarce skills, meanwhile, there are so many truck drivers who are unemployed, not just in the province, but specifically along these major roads, especially the Moy River area where there's a lot of poverty and there's a lot of qualified drivers who are currently unemployed. That's where we saw the eruption of 18 trucks that were satellites, 17 of them that were looted. And then the impact of that, Criselda, we will understand that the N3 is a major economic route that is connecting the 4 provinces, which is KwaZulu-Natal, the Eastern Cape, the Free State, as well as Mpumalanga. So to have that major route being interrupted with products was a major setback, not just for the freight industry, but for the economy of the province and the country. Because last year we witnessed produce such as meat and cars burning up and some of them being looted by locals. Even today, they are coming back saying that their plight remains, even though Police Minister Pelikala had set up a multidisciplinary team last year, which consisted of labor, home affairs, as well as the police to try and intervene and talk to the employer and find a lasting solution. They're saying that their plight continues to fall on deaf ears. Even though the government is disputing, they're saying that even now they are in talks with the employers to find a lasting solution to their plight. They just need to be patient. But the workers are having none of it. And even the National Truck Drivers Association, when we spoke to them earlier on, their spokesperson, or rather secretary, did express that the anger of the drivers has peaked. And at this point, there's nothing they can do. The best they can advise is that the drivers do not get violent. Yes, they can express their plight, but they must not get violent because the damage that gets left out of this mess is far more damaging and costs in millions for the province at large.
Sibonga, you spoke about how important the N3 is, and obviously with this nationwide strike tomorrow, I mean, the transportation of goods, I mean, is expected to be highly affected. Talk us through that.
Would you understand that we have just started a new month and we see a lot of trucks on our major routes whenever the month ends or whenever the month begins. So they're always choosing those particular strategic days because even last year, it was the second day of the month as well as the last day of the month. So that's where they choose to host their strikes the most, because they know that the impact is going to be massive, seeing that a lot of trucks are expected to be traveling, either delivering or fetching goods across these provinces. And tomorrow, they're expecting to do the same. And many of them are concerned, especially the associations, because they're saying that this strike is gaining momentum more on social media than anything, because they're saying that they have not, to this point, facilitated any of these cohesive groups that are forging on social media, amping up the drivers for tomorrow. But we will be speaking to the employer and the Employers Association tomorrow to get their side of the story and the impact that they have suffered to this day and what would happen tomorrow.
Yeah, even though there have been calls for, the truck drivers themselves to desist from any form of violence, I mean, today has clearly set the scene for what could possibly happen tomorrow. Have you had any word from law enforcement agencies about how they plan to deal with this particular issue, in particular along the all-important N3?
When speaking to the Department of Transport in the province today, they did assure us that the police are going to be on high alert across the province, especially along these major routes, to make sure that whatever might be starting at any point, because whenever they start, they don't really notify where exactly are they going to strike.
Yeah.
So we just have to be on high alert across all these roads to make sure that there's no traffic disruption, there are no trucks that are further being set alight, and as a result, there are no goods that are being lost in the process.
All right, our reporter Sibongakonke Mbatha on the latest attack on trucks torched on the N3 near Ashburton, near Pietermaritzburg.